Sometimes the deepest human attachments bypass bloodlines completely. In early 20th century India, a working-class wet nurse, or Daya, named Abbasi raised a young boy named Nasir. She fed him, sang to him, and became the center of his universe. This entire emotional ecosystem existed within the strict confines of a traditional courtyard home. For a child like Nasir, these walls were the edges of the world, and Abbasi provided all the warmth and light inside it. Shakira, Nasir's mother, viewed this bond through the lens of class. To her, Abbasi was merely an employee, an expense to be monitored, rather than a woman devoted to her child. Every time Abbasi returned from the market, Shakira hid near the doorway, watching for stolen flour or a spare piece of firewood. She cross-examined daily prices, turning routine grocery runs into grueling interrogations. A 15-minute delay in the market served as the catalyst for a total collapse of trust. Abbasi had stopped to watch a street argument, an indulgence that Shakira interpreted as an unforgivable act of negligence. Stung by the sudden, vicious reprimand, Abbasi offered to leave. Shakira's pride wouldn't let her back down, and Sabir, the child's perpetually passive father, refused to intervene. The dismissal was instant. Abbasi was pushed out, and the door shut behind her. Nasir, crying on the floor, was cut off from the only comfort he had known. A quiet, stable home was dismantled in a single afternoon. Shakira's baseless paranoia had succeeded in protecting a few pennies worth of flour, but it shattered the foundation of her son's well-being. Almost immediately, Nasir regressed. A lively, thriving toddler turned into a ghost haunting his own house. He would wander to Abbasi's empty quarters, knocking on the locked, heavy door, hoping she was hiding inside. Within days, the emotional toll manifested physically. He stopped eating his favorite sweets. His cheeks hollowed out, and his immune system crashed, leading to a severe, lingering fever. Sabir tried to fix the problem logically. He brought in expensive doctors and bought brand new toys. But you cannot treat a purely emotional sickness with a stethoscope or a wooden horse. Nasir was fading. Across town, Abbasi was experiencing her own withdrawal. Her tiny home felt like a prison cell. She had spent years organizing her daily routine around a child's laughter, and without it, she had no reason to cook, to clean the house, or even get out of bed. Abbasi was an elderly woman with no surviving family, a lone branch on a withered tree. Nasir had become her only reason to engage with the world, and with that bond severed, her thoughts turned toward her own mortality. She decided to use her modest savings for the Hajj, seeking a new spiritual anchor to replace the human one she had lost. In the 1920s, a pilgrimage from India to the Middle East was a grueling, months-long ordeal. To even begin, Abbasi had to navigate the bustling, chaotic streets of Delhi, a stark contrast to the quiet domestic tragedy she was leaving behind. The railway platform was a sea of noise and motion, families weeping, vendors shouting, and thousands of travelers pushing toward the trains. Departure was imminent. All around her, men and women wrapped in the simple white cloth of ihram stood praying. Abbasi stood among them, yet her mind remained anchored to a sickbed across the city. She boarded her carriage and sat down amidst the chaos. The sky outside was heavy with dark clouds, matching the dread settling in her stomach as she waited for the final whistle. She was preparing to travel thousands of miles to stand before the house of God. Yet, even as the train began to hiss with steam, she remained separated from the only person who gave her life meaning. Back at the house, Nasir's condition had become critical. Finally breaking through his own passivity, Sabir grabbed his bicycle and raced through the light rain toward the Delhi station, hoping to catch Abbasi before the train departed. He arrived to find a logistical nightmare. Sabir ran down the platform, peering into carriage after carriage, desperately scanning hundreds of faces in the dim light. He found her. Leaning through the window, Sabir didn't offer apologies. He simply told her that Nasir had not opened his eyes in 2 days. Abbasi faced an agonizing choice. Staying on the train meant completing a lifelong religious dream. Stepping off meant returning to a household that had deeply humiliated her, entirely on the slim chance her presence might save a child's life. She didn't hesitate. She called for a porter, pulled her luggage from the carriage, and left the holy pilgrimage behind. When Abbasi walked into the sick room, she took the frail boy from his mother's arms. At the sound of her voice, Nasir's eyes fluttered open. For the first time in weeks, his pale face lit up. The boy's severe fever broke almost immediately. A week later, as Nasir played in the courtyard, Sabir approached Abbasi. When she mentioned the spiritual reward she had lost by missing the journey to Mecca, Sabir gave her sacrifice a name. He called her act the Hajje-Akbar. This story concludes that the highest form of devotion is found within the home. Saving a single human life is considered a more sacred journey than any geographical pilgrimage.